The night was cold on the desert world. 2 moons hung in the sky, throwing pale light across broken stone houses. Inside one of these houses, a young girl sat quietly. She was thin, with big dark eyes that still carried a little hope. Her name was Lyra. She thought her family loved her, but that night everything would change. Her father avoided her gaze. Her mother's face was hard, as if carved from rock. They whispered with 2 strangers who wore heavy cloaks. Their voices were low, but Lyra's sharp ears caught pieces of their words. Too weak, not useful, we take her cheap. The girl's heart beat faster. She did not understand. The strangers were traitors. Their eyes glowed faintly, their mouths full of sharp teeth. They were not here as guests. They were here to buy. Lyra stepped closer, confusion twisting inside her chest. "Mother?" she asked softly. "Who are they?" Her mother did not answer. Instead, she looked away. Her father's hand trembled as he took a small pouch of coins from the traders. The sound of metal clinking filled the room. Lyra froze. Her mind refused to believe what her eyes saw. She had heard stories about children being sold, but she never thought it would happen to her. "No, please," she whispered. "I can help, I can work. Don't send me away." But her father would not look at her. His voice was flat. "You are not strong enough, Lyra. You are a burden. This is for the good of the family." The traders grinned, showing yellow teeth. One of them grabbed her arm. His skin was rough, his grip like iron. She tried to pull back, but she was too small, too weak. Her mother finally spoke, but her words cut deeper than any knife. "Go. Do not look back." Lyra's heart broke. Her family, the people she trusted, were giving her away as if she were nothing, as if her life had no value. The traders dragged her outside. The night air was sharp, and the ground was cold, under her bare feet. She looked over her shoulder, hoping for one last sign of love. Maybe her mother would cry. Maybe her father would stop them. But the doorway was empty. The house that had once been her home was silent. They had already shut the door. Tears filled her eyes, but no one cared. The traders pushed her forward into the shadows of the street. She could hear laughter from far away, the sound of other buyers and sellers in the hidden market. She realized she was not the first, and she would not be the last. Children, women, and men, all sold for coins. As the traders pulled her along, whispers filled her mind. Why? Why me? Am I truly worth nothing? Every step felt heavier, her hope shrinking with the darkness. She wondered if she would ever see the sun again. At the edge of the town, an old transport ship waited. Its metal skin was rusted, its engines groaning like dying beasts. They shoved her inside. The air smelled of oil, blood, and despair. Inside the hold, she saw others. Faces pale, eyes empty. They looked at her, but no one spoke. Hope had left them long ago. Lyra sank to the floor. Her small hands shook. She tried to remember the warmth of her mother's arms, the sound of her father's laugh. But those memories now felt like lies. The door slammed shut. Darkness wrapped around her. The engines roared to life, and the ship lifted into the night sky. Through a tiny crack in the metal, she saw her world shrinking behind her. Her family, her home, her past, all fading into nothing. Her heart screamed inside her chest. I am not nothing. I cannot be nothing. But the voices around her, the chains, and the silence of the stars whispered the same cruel truth. You have been sold. You are worthless. Yet deep inside, a small spark refused to die. A question echoed in her mind, one that even she could not answer. If I am worthless, then why does my heart still fight? She did not know it yet, but this question would change everything. The market of shadows. The ship landed with a shudder, its engines coughing smoke into the cold night. The iron door creaked open, and a harsh smell of oil, sweat, and burning metal rushed inside. Lyra blinked as the traders dragged her out, their claws biting into her arm. They had arrived at a place few dared to speak of, the Market of Shadows. It was not a market of light, but of darkness, a giant cavern beneath the ruined city, hidden from the stars. Torches of green flame burned on the walls, and the air was filled with strange sounds, chains rattling, voices whispering, creatures crying. Lyra's heart pounded. She had heard stories of this place, a place where lives were bought and sold like tools, where no one left the same. The traders pushed her down a narrow path. On both sides, cages stretched into the dark, filled with beings of many kinds. Some had scales, some had fur, others looked almost human, but all wore the same expression: hopelessness. One cage door slammed open as they passed. A tall, horned alien was dragged out, kicking and roaring before being beaten into silence. Buyers in heavy robes watched with cruel eyes, their voices sharp as they argued over his price. Lyra lowered her head, trying to make herself small. But the trader holding her yanked her forward, forcing her to stand tall. "Don't hide," he hissed. "The buyers want to see what they're getting." At the center of the market stood a raised platform, stained with old blood. One by one, captives were dragged up, inspected like animals, and sold to the highest bidder. Lyra's stomach turned as she watched a small child no older than herself, pulled away from his crying mother. The crowd's laughter echoed through the cavern. "Next!" shouted a voice. Her turn had come. The trader shoved her onto the platform. The green firelight painted her skin pale. She felt hundreds of eyes crawl over her body. She shivered but kept her head high, though her legs trembled. A fat alien with 6 arms laughed loudly. "Too thin. She will break in a month." Another with silver eyes leaned forward. "Look at her spirit. Still some fire inside. She could fetch a price." But most voices agreed with the first. Not worth much. Too weak. Better feed her to the beasts. The trader pulled her chin up, forcing her to face the crowd. Strong enough for housework. Cheap enough for anyone. "Who will buy?" the crowd murmured. Bids were small, almost insulting. Coins clinked. Voices mocked. Lyra's heart sank lower and lower. She wanted to scream, but her voice was trapped in her throat. And then, silence. The crowd parted slightly as someone new stepped forward. A man, not an alien, not a monster. A human. Humans were rare in this part of the galaxy. Some said they were dangerous, others said they were fools. No one trusted them, but everyone feared them a little. This one was tall, wearing a long coat and heavy boots. His face was hidden, beneath the shadow of his hood. He moved slowly, his eyes fixed on Lyra, studying her with strange intensity. The crowd muttered, "A human? Here? What does he want with trash like her?" The trader sneered. "You want this one?" "She is weak, worthless." But the man did not answer. He walked closer, his boots echoing on the stone. He stopped only a few steps away, staring at Lyra as if he could see inside her. Her breath caught. She expected him to laugh like the others, to turn away. But instead, his voice was calm, steady, almost gentle. "I'll take her." The crowd erupted in laughter. "The human buys garbage, paying for bones and tears." The trader smirked, shaking his head. "You waste your money, human. But if you want her, she is yours." Coins changed hands. The deal was done. The human extended a hand toward Lyra. She hesitated, staring at it. His hand was scarred, rough but strong. Unlike the traders, he did not grab her. He simply waited. For the first time since her family had betrayed her, someone offered her a choice. Slowly, with trembling fingers, she placed her hand in his. The crowd jeered as the man led her away, but their voices faded behind her. She did not know who he was or why he had chosen her. She only knew one thing. For the first time, someone had looked at her and seen more than worthless. But the market of shadows was not done with them yet. Eyes followed from the darkness. Some buyers did not like humans interfering in their trade, and some were already planning to take the girl back. Lyra did not know it, but danger was only beginning. The market grew quiet after the human left with Lyra. The laughter faded, but the whispers followed them through the dark tunnels. Traders and buyers exchanged glances, their voices sharp with suspicion. Humans were not welcome here, not in the market of shadows. The man led her through narrow stone paths lit by weak flames. His steps were firm, his hand steady, but he did not speak. Lyra walked beside him, her heart racing. She wanted to ask questions, but her voice was trapped inside her chest. Why had he chosen her? Why waste his money on someone the crowd had called worthless? Finally, they reached a small side chamber. The noise of the market was distant now, only a faint hum in the stone. The man stopped and turned to her. For the first time she saw his face clearly. He was not young, nor old. His skin was marked, with scars, and his eyes were a deep gray, carrying the weight of battles she could not imagine. Yet when those eyes rested on her, she did not feel fear. She felt seen. "You are safe now," he said quietly. His voice was low, steady, like the calm before a storm. Safe. The word sounded strange to her ears. Could she believe it? A few hours ago, her own family had sold her. How could safety exist anymore? Her lips trembled. Why me? Everyone said I was nothing. Why would you buy me? The human's gaze did not waver. He knelt slightly so his eyes met hers. They see nothing, because they do not know how to look. I saw fire in your eyes. You are not nothing. You are alive. That is worth more than gold. His words shook her. No one had ever spoken to her like this. Not her family, not the traders, not the buyers. She wanted to believe him, but doubt still wrapped around her heart. She lowered her head. But I am weak. I cannot fight. I cannot work like others. The man straightened, his coat shifting as he adjusted the weapon at his belt. Weakness is not the same as worthlessness. Remember that. Before she could answer, a sound echoed down the tunnel. Heavy boots, harsh voices. The traders had followed. The man's hand moved to his weapon. His eyes hardened like steel. They want you back, he said calmly. They think you belong to them. Lyra's fear rose again, but this time it was different. She was not alone in the darkness anymore. The humans stood between her and danger. Figures appeared at the mouth of the tunnel. 3 traders, there, teeth bared, chains rattling in their hands. She belongs to us, one hissed. We will take her back. The human did not move. His voice was sharp, cutting through the air like a blade. She belongs to no one. The traders laughed, stepping closer. A weak girl and a human, you will die here. In a single motion, the man drew his weapon. A flash of blue light filled the tunnel. One trader fell, screaming, smoke rising from his chest. The others froze, their courage faltering. The man's voice was calm but deadly. Do you still want to try? The traders hissed curses but stepped back, dragging their wounded companion. Their eyes promised revenge, but for now they retreated into the shadows. Silence returned. The human holstered his weapon and turned back to Lyra. She stood frozen, her eyes wide with shock. He crouched again, his tone gentler now. You see? You are not worthless. They risked their lives to take you back. That means you have value even to those who do not respect it. Her breath shook. But to you? What do I mean to you? For the first time, a small smile touched his scarred face. To me, you are proof. Proof that even in a market built on despair, hope can still survive. She stared at him, unsure how to answer. No one had ever said such things to her. Hope, worth, fire. Words she thought were lost to her forever. The man stood and extended his hand once more. Come. We cannot stay here. The market will not forget this. We must reach my ship before more arrive. Her small fingers slid into his rough hand again. This time, she did not hesitate. Together they moved deeper into the tunnels. The shadows stretched around them, But for the first time since her betrayal, the darkness no longer felt endless. Because beside her walked someone who saw what others could not. The escape. The tunnels shook with distant footsteps. Lyra could hear angry voices echoing through the stone walls. The traitors were not finished. They wanted her back, and now the entire market knew a human had interfered. The man gripped her hand tighter. "Stay close, do not stop." They ran. The path twisted and turned like the veins of some ancient beast. Shadows flickered under the green torches as the noise of pursuit grew louder. Every corner felt like a trap, every sound like a threat. Lyra's breath came fast. Her legs burned, but she did not let go of his hand. Somehow, his steady pace gave her strength. At last, the tunnel opened into the city above. Neon lights glared against the night sky, painting broken towers in colors of red and blue. Strange machines hovered overhead, their engines humming. The city was alive with chaos, crowds shouting, vendors selling, gangs fighting, but for Lyra, all of it blurred into one thought: escape. The man guided her into a narrow alley where wires hung like spiderwebs. Behind them, the shouts grew sharper. The traitors had reached the surface. "They will not stop," Lyra gasped. "Why do they chase me so hard? I am nothing." The man glanced back at her, his eyes glowing in the neon light. "You are not nothing, and because I took you from them, your worth just doubled in their eyes." They pressed on, weaving through the maze of alleys. At one point, a group of hooded aliens blocked their way. The man did not hesitate. His weapon flashed, sending them scattering. Lyra flinched at the sight of energy bolts striking walls, but she kept running. The chase pushed them into the city's lower levels, where the lights dimmed and the air smelled of smoke. Here the streets were filled with scrap metal and broken droids. Rusted signs flickered weakly, casting eerie shadows. Lyra stumbled, but the man pulled her back to her feet. "Almost there," he said. But the traitors were faster now. Shapes moved above them on rooftops, shadows closing in from the sides. They burst into a wide open space, a docking bay filled with ships. Engines roared, merchants shouted, and guards watched from high towers. The man pulled Lyra toward the far corner, where a small vessel sat waiting. It was not grand, not powerful, but it was his. Before they could reach it, a sharp cry rang out. Traitors spilled into the bay, their chains glinting under the neon lights. Some drew weapons, others raised nets designed to trap. Lyra froze, terror locking her feet to the ground. There were too many. The human could not fight them all. He turned to her, his voice low but firm. "Listen, you must run with me. Do not stop no matter what you see, promise me." Her throat was dry, but she nodded. "I promise." "Good. Now run." They sprinted toward the ship as the first wave of traitors attacked. Energy bolts cracked. Against the ground, sparks flying. The man's weapon sang with light, each shot driving enemies back. But still more came. Lyra's heart pounded like a drum. She dodged nets, ducked under claws, and clung to the promise she made. Do not stop. The ship loomed closer, just a few steps more. A traitor lunged from the side, seizing her wrist. She screamed, but before he could drag her back, the human's blade flashed. The traitor fell, and the man's hand pulled her forward again. They reached the ramp of the ship. The man shoved her inside. "Go! Strap in!" Lyra stumbled into the narrow cabin, collapsing into a seat. The smell of oil and metal filled her nose as the ship trembled under her weight. Outside, the man fought his way up the ramp, firing into the crowd. He slammed a button on the wall, and the ramp rose with a grinding roar, cutting off the traitors. Screams. The cockpit lights flared to life. He slid into the pilot's chair, hands moving quickly over controls. Engines roared, shaking the bay. From the windows, Lyra saw traitors rushing closer, aiming heavy cannons. Her heart stopped. "They will shoot us down," she cried. The man's jaw tightened. "Not if we're faster." With a thunderous blast, the ship tore free from the ground. Flames burst from the engines as they shot upward into the neon sky. Blinding light filled the cabin as the city shrank below them. But it was not over. On the radar screen, glowing, dots appeared. Enemy ships rising to chase them. Lyra gripped the seat until her knuckles turned white. The man's eyes narrowed as he pushed the controls. Hold on, girl. This escape has just begun. The stars stretched ahead, the hunters closing behind, aboard the human ship. The ship broke through the heavy clouds, shaking as enemy fire flashed behind them. Alarms screamed through the cabin, red lights flickering across the walls. Lyra clutched her seat, her small body trembling as the stars finally appeared beyond the glass. The human's hands moved swiftly over the controls. His voice was calm, though the ship rattled under every hit. They're fast, but this ship is faster. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid? How could she not be? Her whole life had been ripped apart in a single night. Her family had betrayed her. She had been dragged to a market of shadows, and now she was being hunted across the sky. Fear lived in her bones, but when she looked at the human beside her, scarred, steady, unshaken, she felt a strange pull inside. Maybe fear didn't have to control her. A blast rocked the ship. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Lyra gasped. They'll destroy us. The man's gray eyes narrowed as he pulled a lever. The engines roared louder. The stars stretched, and the ship surged forward with new speed. Enemy vessels fell behind, their weapons flashing in the distance but missing their mark. For a moment, silence filled the cabin. The alarms calmed. The ship floated in the endless black, stars glittering, all around them. Lyra's breath slowed, her chest rising and falling with shaky relief. She turned to the human, her voice barely a whisper. Why do you risk so much for me? He leaned back in the pilot's chair, his eyes on the endless horizon. His answer came slowly, as if each word carried weight. Because no one else would. Because someone has to. She frowned. But I'm not special. I'm weak. I'm nothing. At that, he finally looked at her. His voice sharpened, not cruel but firm, like a hammer striking iron. Don't ever say that. The moment you believe their lies, you lose. You are not nothing. You survived betrayal. You survived the market, and you are still here. That is strength. Her throat tightened. Tears stung her eyes, but she forced them back. His words lit something inside her, a spark she thought was dead. The man stood, moving to the side of the cabin. He opened a panel in the wall, revealing wires and switches. We took damage. If we don't fix it, the engines will fail. He glanced at her. I need your help. Her heart jumped. Me? I don't know anything about ships. His scarred lips curved into the faintest smile. You'll learn. I trust you. Trust. Another strange word. No one had ever trusted her before. She hesitated, then nodded. He handed her a tool, heavy, strange, buzzing with energy. He pointed to the wires. Hold it here, steady. When I say twist, twist. Her hands shook, but she gripped the tool. He worked quickly, guiding her step by step. The ship groaned, but she followed his instructions, clumsy, yet determined. Sparks flew, but she did not let go. Now twist. She twisted. The engine roared, lights flaring brighter. The ship steadied. She gasped. I did it? The man nodded. We did it. Together. A warmth spread through her chest. For the first time, she felt useful, not worthless, useful. But the moment was short. A shrill alarm blared again. On the radar, more enemy dots appeared. The traitors had called for reinforcements. The man returned to the pilot's seat. They won't stop, not yet. Fear pricked her skin, but she clenched her fists. Something had changed inside her. She was no longer just cargo, no longer just a frightened child. She leaned forward. What can I do to help? He glanced at her, and for a brief second his hard eyes softened. Stay ready. Soon you'll do more than you ever thought possible. The ship dived into the black, engines screaming, enemies closing in. Lyra gripped the seat, her heart pounding, not just with fear but with determination. For the first time, She was not running because she was worthless. She was fighting to prove she was worth something. The chase through the stars had only begun. The rising worth. The ship shook again as another blast rattled its metal frame. Outside the windows, dark enemy vessels streaked through the stars, their red engines glowing like angry eyes. They were closing in, faster and hungrier than before. Lyra's chest tightened. Her hands dug into the seat until her knuckles turned pale. She had thought the worst was behind her, but now she saw the truth. The chase had only just begun. The human's voice cut through the panic. Calm. Steady. They will not let us go easily. They believe you still belong to them. But you don't, not anymore. Lyra swallowed hard, forcing herself to breathe. She wanted to believe him. She wanted to believe she was free, but chains still seemed to cling to her mind, invisible yet heavy. The man's hands moved quickly over the controls. I can't fight them all alone. I need you again. Her heart skipped. Me? But I don't know enough. He didn't even look at her. His voice was firm, like a command and a promise at once. You will learn. Right now. He pointed to a console near her seat, glowing with strange buttons and blinking lights. That's the weapons system. If they catch us, they will board us. If they board us, they will take you back. Do you understand? The weight of his words pressed down on her. She nodded slowly. Good. Then listen carefully. I'll fly. You fire. Her small hands hovered over the controls. They shook, but she forced them to steady. Her breath came fast, her heart pounding, so loud she could barely hear anything else. The radar flashed red, an enemy ship diving toward them. Now, the man barked. Lyra pressed the button. The ship's cannons roared, sending streaks of fire into the dark. For a moment, she thought, she had missed. But then the enemy vessel spun wildly before bursting into flames. Her eyes widened. Her chest surged with a strange, burning heat. She had done that. She had struck back. A small smile crept to the human's scarred face. Good. Again. More. Ships came. Lyra's fingers moved clumsily at first, but faster each time. The ship kicked and rattled with every blast, but she did not stop. Her fear began to twist into something new. Fierce determination. Another ship exploded. Then another. The girl who once believed she was worthless was now holding enemies at bay. Sweat dripped from her brow. Her arms trembled, but she refused to give up. I can do this, she whispered to herself. I can do this. The human heard her, and for the first time, there was warmth in his voice. Yes, you can. That fire I saw in your eyes, it's real. Don't let it die. But the danger was not over. A massive shadow loomed ahead, a larger vessel twice the size of theirs, its weapons glowing. One direct hit from that ship would tear them apart. Lyra froze. Her hands hovered uselessly, above the controls. It's too big, she whispered. I can't. The man's voice snapped like thunder. Don't believe that lie. You are not weak. You are not nothing. You are more than they ever knew. Her throat tightened. Memories of her family's rejection stabbed at her heart. She remembered her father's flat voice. You are a burden. Her mother's cold words. Go. Do not look back. And then she remembered this man's words. I saw fire in your eyes. The doubt cracked. Something fierce broke free inside her. Her small fists slammed down on the controls. Cannons roared, lighting up the void. The blasts struck the massive ship's engines. A burst of fire erupted across its hull. The giant vessel shook, veering off course. Lyra gasped, her chest heaving. She had done it. The man's voice was softer now, but steady. See? They lied to you. You are not worthless. You are powerful. Her eyes burned with tears, but this time, they were not from pain. They were from pride. Real pride. The enemy, ships scattered, their formation broken. The human seized the chance, steering his vessel into a hidden lane of asteroid fields. The darkness swallowed them, hiding them from the pursuers. For the first time since the chase began, silence returned. The stars glimmered, calm and distant. Lyra collapsed back into her seat, her chest rising and falling with exhaustion. Her hands still trembled, but there was strength in them now, strength she had never known before. The man glanced at her, his gray eyes softer than she had ever seen. "You fought well. You showed them, and yourself, what you're worth." She looked back at him, her voice trembling but firm. Maybe I'm not nothing after all." The man nodded slowly, almost like a teacher proud of his student. "No, you never were. You just needed someone to remind you." As the ship drifted deeper into the starry dark, Lyra leaned back, her heart no longer chained by the words of her past. She had begun to rise, and soon the galaxy would see her true worth. A new beginning. The stars stretched endlessly across the dark, glittering like silent witnesses to the escape. The ship drifted through the asteroid field, engines humming softly now that the pursuit had ended. Lyra sat in her seat, her small body trembling from exhaustion. Her hands still tingled from gripping the weapon controls, her ears still rang with the memory of explosions. But inside her chest something new had taken root, a strange warm strength. She had fought back. She had survived. She was no longer just the girl her family had sold for nothing. The human adjusted the ship's course, his gray eyes steady as ever. For a long time neither spoke. The silence was not heavy like before. It was calmer, almost peaceful. Finally, Lyra broke it. Her voice was soft, uncertain, but strong enough to carry in the quiet cabin. "They will keep chasing us, won't they?" The man glanced at her. "Yes, but they will not catch us. Not if you stay as strong as you were today." Her heart fluttered. She wanted to believe those words. For once she almost did. She lowered her gaze to her hands, small, scarred, shaking, but no longer useless. She whispered half to herself, half to him, "I never thought I could fight. I thought I was only a burden." The man's voice softened, carrying none of the hardness it usually held. "They told you lies because it made them feel powerful, but your worth was always there. No family, no traitor, no crowd can take that from you." She lifted her head, eyes glistening with tears. "Then why did you choose me? Out of all the others in that market, why me?" He leaned back, studying her face with that same deep, unshakable gaze. For a long moment he did not answer. Then, slowly, he spoke. "Because you reminded me of someone who also believed she was nothing, until she proved otherwise. And because I could not stand to see another flame crushed before it."
Had a chance to burn. His words struck deep. She did not know who this someone was, but she felt the weight of his memory in his voice. And she understood then. It was not just about saving her.
It was about saving what she could become. A long silence followed. The stars drifted past, endless and cold. But inside the ship, warmth flickered. The human rose from his chair, moving to a small storage compartment. He pulled out a blanket and draped it over her shoulders. The gesture was simple, but it shook her heart more than any battle. No one had ever cared enough to shield her from the cold. "You should rest," he said. "There will be more trials ahead, but you are not facing them alone." She clutched the blanket tight. For the first time, the idea of tomorrow did not frighten her. When she finally closed her eyes, sleep came softly, not filled with nightmares of betrayal, but dreams of stars she might one day reach. Hours passed. The ship floated through the silence of space. Lyra stirred awake as the man prepared food, simple rations, nothing special. Yet when he handed her a piece, she accepted it with gratitude. The taste was bland, but it filled more than her stomach. It filled the emptiness that betrayal had left. She ate quietly, then looked at him. "What will happen to me now?" His eyes softened again. "That is your choice," no one else's. You are free to decide. Her breath caught. Free. A word she had never dared to dream of. Slowly she nodded. She did not know what her future would hold, but she knew one truth. She would never again let anyone tell her she was worthless. The man studied her, and for the first time, a true smile curved his scarred face. Good. That fire will guide you. The ship pierced deeper into the unknown stars. Behind them lay betrayal, chains, and fear. Ahead lay endless space, dangerous, uncertain, but full of possibility. Lyra pressed her hand against the glass window, staring at the galaxies stretching before her. Her reflection looked back, not the frightened child dragged to the market, but someone stronger, someone rising. She whispered to herself, her voice steady and proud. I am not nothing. I never was. The human heard her, and though he did not speak, his faint smile was enough.